Hi, everyone. Welcome back to our podcast, You Don't Understand. My name is Diksha. This is my mom, Jyoti. And for today's episode, we really wanted to dive into the beginning of our story. Um, you know, basically like my childhood, my by like childhood, I mean like really like toddler childhood era. And then for my mom, obviously she was a new mom. I was her first child. So we wanted to discuss just how our relationship was back then and, how it evolved as I grew a little bit older. But yeah, I'm gonna turn it over to my mom now.
Hi, and yes, this is what we had decided that it would be important for our viewers to even first understand the kind of relationship or the bond we shared when you were a kid, and a lot of the insecurities or fears as a parent that we have when our children are growing also stems up from how we were raised, what kind of experiences we have had in our own teenager lives and stuff like that, and then how we think that when we will become parents, what we will be doing with our children, how we are going to raise them. Like we have been through that thought process. So when obviously when I got to know that I'm pregnant with you, I was obviously very happy. And growing up, I always had this thing. I also mentioned in my last podcast that I was a very rebellious kid because I never liked that thought process of a male and a female, like a male child and a female child. I always felt that they are wired differently, but as for a parent, they should be the same and they should be treated the same, and their experiences in the household should also be similar. But that was not the case when I was growing up. I was raised differently, where I felt that my younger brothers had more freedom in a lot of things, which was not given to me when I was growing up, because I understand my parents had their own securities, me being a girl child, and probably that is the reason they kept those boundaries and those restrictions on me. But while growing up, I felt it as that it was being unfair. As a child, I always felt that. So, as a child, I used to always think that when I have a daughter one day, I'm not going to be like this with her, and I'm going to give her all the freedom in the world, and blah, blah, blah. And of course, when I got to know that I'm pregnant with a girl child, I cannot even tell you how happy I was. I was like, that's it. I'm going to raise the most ideal child that has ever been raised on this earth. And, I had those thoughts in my head. And I was kind of gone back in my memory that the things that I felt were not the right way to my parents doing those two things to me, or those restrictions for me. Going to make sure that it's not there for you. But of course, reality hits differently. And of course, you were born. And I guess the moment you were born, the parent in me was also born. And that parent was very different than the parent that I thought I will become. It was like, I just don't know where those insecurities came from, because I guess you were so little. I never thought that I would be so fearful of anything happening to you. That thought, that you're my baby, like my child, and anything, like literally anything should not happen to you. Like I cannot even, like, in my thought process also, I don't want to think that something can happen to you. That feeling, I guess it's just biological. I guess once you become a parent, it just comes in you. It's just how you are wired, I guess. It's just your evolution that happens. I don't know where that fear comes from, but it does come in. And I, for the first time, experienced it. And for the first time, I think I truly understood why my parents would have been so scared and fearful for a girl child. I still don't think it is about girl child or a male child, but I guess unfortunately, the society that we are growing in is definitely very different for a girl being raised, and the issues and experiences a girl might have versus a male might have in the society. And me being a female in the society, I have been through some of those unpleasant experiences in my life. And everything just came flooding in, thinking that nothing, like none of those experiences should happen to you. So the overprotectiveness, I mean, I was protective, but when it became overprotective, I didn't realize when I crossed that boundary. But yeah, I mean, growing up, because you're my first child, and at that point you were my only child, I had all the time in the world. And you were such an amazing kid to raise. When I touch wood, no, seriously, you were so easy. My friends used to tell me because they were struggling with kids, who are crying and who are unhappy or chronic or whatever. You were so easy, and you would just eat, and we would change you, and you would just play around for a little while and go back to sleep, and like a clock you would wake up again. So it was so easy with you, and you were such a warm person even as a toddler. Or in fact, with you, the issues I had was that because you were such a warm and friendly person, any you would be ready to go with anyone. Like there was no such thing that, oh, this is a stranger or this is this. You were just free with, you were just so okay with being with anyone, that what became even added to my fear that somebody might just one day kidnap you or you might just walk away with someone can just give you a candy and you can just walk away with that person. So your nature actually added even more to my insecurity. Had you been those fussy children who don't like to go to strangers, I probably my insecurity would have been less. But your personality added even more to it. And I was like, okay, everybody's so happy being with you and you're so friendly, but it added to a lot to my insecurity.
I was gonna ask, because I don't think I've actually asked you this question before, but was there any insecurity raising a child in America? Because I would assume, I mean, a lot of people who view this podcast, a lot of them might be parents that moved here from a different country and are raising, children here for the first time. Obviously, in a different country, you don't have your family as a huge support system here. Was there any insecurity that way where you were like, I'm in a whole new country, I'm raising a child, kind of on my own too, because Dada was traveling all the time for work.
Yes, of course. As you just mentioned, that I was traveling for work most of the time. So I was most of the time alone with you, raising you alone. So I did not have any help from anyone. And there is no parent textbook that teaches you that you do this chapter one, chapter two, chapter three. It's not like that. As the child is growing, the parent in me is also growing and learning with the experiences. And so there were many trial and errors, because even though there might be some knowledge, but then every child is very different. I cannot apply the same rule to all children. So with you also there was a lot of trial and errors, like with when it comes to food, when it comes to setting up boundaries for you based on your nature. I had to kind of revise my boundaries. So as I said, that your nature was so friendly that I was always very scared that maybe some wrong thing might happen. You hear so many stories about sexual abuse or assault and all those things to children. That was my biggest worry with you, because you were overly friendly with people, and which is a good thing for family members. But then if somebody wants to take advantage, they can. You were just such an easy person for them. So I even started educating you about good touch, bad touch very early on. Like, in fact, my friends would even tell me that, why are you feeding your child with all these things? This is not good. You're simply and I'm like, you know what? I have experienced many things in my own childhood and my growing years. that fear was always there in me. So I was very overprotective of you, definitely very overprotective of you,
Mhm.
which I think as a young toddler kid and maybe an elementary kid might be fine. But then, of course, as you started growing, then it became a challenge because now you're not just that little mama's baby daughter, or a little baby girl, but now you are becoming a person who has its own thought process. So, yes, going back to your question, definitely it was scary. As much as I enjoyed with you every moment, but back of my head, that fear was always there, always. And that governed a lot of my disciplining part with you. I was very strict with you when I was raising you. And it was
Okay.
not because, oh, yeah, maybe you should share your part now. That might make more sense because I'm talking from the parents' perspective. I want to see what you were going through.
I mean, in terms of you being strict, I didn't realize you were being strict till Adi, my brother, came into the picture and I saw you treating him differently. Not because he was a boy, but because I think you'd also, I was your guinea pig. I was your first child. So by the time the second kid came around, you were like, okay, these are the things I can lax on. These are the things I still have to enforce. But up until that point, I had only known whatever you told me, however you raised me. Now I see you treating someone quote unquote differently. And so that's why in my head I was like, oh, like, this is not okay. Like, why is she treating me one way but him another way? Like that's when I was like, oh, like she can also chillax on me too. Like, where is the same like, treatment towards me? So I don't think you were like looking back, I don't think you were necessarily like strict for like just for the sake of being strict. Now I can sit here and see the thought process behind why I wasn't allowed to do certain things or I was. But definitely back then it was very much like I couldn't understand it. I was like, and again, being raised in America with a whole diverse range of kids, all their parents have completely different set of rules. So obviously growing up, I compared my upbringing to theirs, and I'm like, well, if their parents let them do it, like, why can't I do it? I remember I was so upset. This is like elementary school. I think it was fifth. It was fifth grade. And all the students were going upstate north to like our principal's cabin for like a because I went to a private school for like a retreat thing, and you would not let me go. And I was so upset because and it wasn't even just because like all the like, white kids or whatever could go too. We had another Indian girl in class and she was allowed to go too, but my you refused. And I was so upset. Like I was so mad. In hindsight, am I grateful that I didn't? It's not like I really missed out on anything. And in hindsight, I understand why you said I can go. And like I understand the thought process now, but definitely growing up, I think that set a lot of seeds of resentment in me just because you weren't explaining to me why. It was very much like, I don't think you should go because you're not safe. And when I guess I didn't understand how to ask why, and then you also weren't really giving me an answer back as to why. And I think that's what really like started to disconnect us at first because we just weren't going that extra mile to communicate a little bit more.
I remember I remember, I think, and I know that you were very upset with me, and the point that you raised, that I was raising Adi differently, and used to always say that you are raising him so differently, you are not giving him the same discipline things that you did with me. And I used to always say that he's a different child, he's a different personality. As I mentioned, that Adi himself had so much social anxiety that he would not even want to look at strangers, the strangers looking at them, and he will start crying, like anybody wanting to come to him, even though he was such a cute baby and everybody wanted to lift him, and yet people would just run away because he would just turn them away, like, by crying and crying. But you, on the other hand, was not like that. You were more friendly. So I was always scared because of your nature. I did not want you to change your nature. I was very aware that this is who you are. I don't want you to change that about yourself or start looking at your nature as your drawback or your shortcoming. I did not want to feed that thought into you. So I wanted you to still blossom and be with your nature. But at the same time, my insecurity was like, okay, how can I still keep her protected? Like, in my little own garden, and let her blossom in that garden rather than giving her the whole, like, park or something. So that's what I was trying to do. That I was aware that as a person, I still need to give you your space to grow, but then at the same time, I want to keep enough tight boundary around you so that you're safe. But as you just mentioned rightly, that at that point of time, how parents have this thought in them that they know better. They it just automatic, like the fear, this also automatically just comes into them that they are parents, so that means they know better.
Yeah.
So I always was like, oh, you are still a kid. You will not understand. I'll let you know when you grow up, and you just do what I'm asking you to do right now. This is not good for you. And I would kind of shut you down at that moment because I didn't think I want to even tell you all these fears of mine. I didn't feel it right that I should fill up with my fears into your thoughts again, because then I'm making you fearful of everything, that you don't go here, you don't go there, you don't talk to this one. I didn't want to do either to you. I still wanted you to be you, who you are. But then, so then how do I satisfy my insecurity by not letting you go and not even giving you an answer and playing my parent card that you don't know, you keep quiet, you just do what I'm asking you to do right now
Yeah.
because I know better. And I understand. and
That
this
did
is
not go over
exactly
well.
and this is exactly what I did not want to do with my children when I was growing up. I was always telling myself, I will never do this. I will always have a communication. I will always tell my children. And here I am being exactly the parent that my parents were being with me, that you keep quiet, you do what I'm asking you to do. Now I feel like a hypocrite.
I would
But
say, or well, looking back, would you still do the same thing that, because I do think there is some merit to not telling me the exact reasoning as to why you didn't want me to do something. But looking back, would you still follow the same suit and just not say anything, or do you think you would still try to explain a little bit?
no, I would definitely explain because I feel that you were intelligent enough. Maybe I have to just choose the right words to explain it to you so that I don't instill the fear of the whole situation inside you, but at the same time, make you aware of what your surroundings are. I can definitely do that as a parent, that bring the awareness to you, maybe not in the whole large picture, but at least the immediate awareness that how you need to be aware of your surroundings. You need to be aware of the kind of situations you can be in. So I think as a parent, I also needed to educate myself, and I did not have that. Like, I did not have, I wouldn't say I didn't have friends. I did, but I don't think so. My friends were also doing any great. They were also kind of learning with their own children, right? They were also because my friends were my age group who were almost first time parents. So everybody's learning with their own first child.
Yeah.
So it's not like, and certainly I didn't want to go back to my parents because in my head, I'd already discarded them that they are not great parents because they did not raise me right. So I'm not going to go back to them either. So
I need
I
Nani to see
just
this right now.
I've told this to Nani many times, to the viewers who don't know. In India, mother's mom is called as Nani, so she's like the grandmother. So I have also shared these thoughts with Nani, and there are many things that Nani would have changed while she was raising me, but that's a different story. But going back to you and me, that yes, I definitely would change. I would definitely have more communication and more positive communication with you.
How do you think or actually not even how, do you think that the dynamic between me and you changed once Adi was born?
Yes, absolutely. Because I guess that up until that point, as you rightly mentioned, that you are my only child, so you did not have another perspective to look at things differently. Whatever I did with you, that was the only way to do it
That
for
was like
you.
all I knew.
Yeah, because, and even if it is parents of other children, but they're still other children, right? It's not, but then when you had your own sibling,
Mhm.
and when you start observing that the same parent is a little different with me and with the other sibling, you see the disparity.
Yeah.
And I guess that probably you never communicated with me. I mean, on a high level, yes, you would once in a while tell me that Adi gets to do this and I don't get to do this, or something else like, oh, you're raising him differently, or oh, if I would have done it, you would have said this to me, but you're not saying this to Adi. So those remarks you would make here and there, but I never, or maybe I wasn't matured enough to understand that those remarks are not just like superficial remarks. Probably they are your expressions that you're already harboring inside you. I missed that with you for sure. And of course, me being alone raising both of you, because dada was not even at home because he was constantly in different countries or different states. He was hardly home. So having the pressure to raise both of you, um, I think I missed my, and I obviously with a younger, like a small baby in the house, the focus shifts on the small baby because his needs or her needs would be more than the first one right now. I'm not saying that the first one's needs are not important, but they are different kinds of needs. And with the little one, it's a different kind of need. So that started taking up a lot of my time too. And I guess that communication that you and me had started reducing in on a deeper level.
I would say that I think growing up, I did understand, you know, things different now because Adi is in the picture and Dada's gone and yada yada yada. Um, I think that's also around the time where I started to feel a lot, because I remember feeling a lot more grown up, like at a very young age, because I just because of our circumstances and not having another parent in the house, I definitely had felt like that pressure was on me. Not pressure, but responsibility to be an older sister, to step up, to like, do better, be there for Adi, be there for you as much as I could. Um, and I don't know why exactly, but I do think that that also started like cementing a little bit of a gap between me and you. Because I think maybe somewhere I did feel, not even not I think I know somewhere I wasn't happy that I had to do this. Because I'm watching every, like, it's not like I'm don't see other, like, my other friends who have siblings. I do, but they have two parents also in that household raising that other sibling. They all help each other out. It's it felt like a lot of experiences that I was experiencing when I was younger were not the same experiences my other friends were experiencing. And so I did find it very unfair growing up that, like, why do I have to be an old, it's like I remember, and you say this line all the time till this day, you're just like, come on, tuk tuk, like, be the elder sister, and I remember just hating those words, like, be the elder sister, because that's all you would say when I was younger, and I was like, I don't want to be the elder sister. I don't want to take that responsibility.
I understand. And if this is my opportunity to say sorry to you, then I really want to apologize. That growing up, you had to feel that pressure or the pressure of the responsibility. Um, I never thought that I'm putting that responsibility on you. I
Mm.
really never thought. I thought that it's more about getting your child ready to contribute in the house in a very little, small things, like, say, if I'm changing Adi's diaper, I'm downstairs and there is something I need from upstairs, like maybe his cream or something, and you are a young kid. So I'm like, hey, Tuk, go up and just get me that cream. I am just thinking, okay, I'm making a 5-year-old or a 6-year-old a little more responsible in the way that, okay, I can expect that, okay, she can go and pick that up, because that's little convenient for me than me leaving him down and then running up and getting it. But then, as a parent from this side of the fence, that's what I'm thinking. But
Yeah.
as a kid from the other side of the fence, you are taking the pressure that, oh, I'm the big Didi. Like, I have to do this for
I
my
think
brother
more
or
than
my mom.
there was definitely that because I'm a very emotionally sensitive person. I've always been that way my life. So I do remember at like literally the age of 6 being able to conceptualize the idea of just like, okay, my mom is struggling or like Dada's not home. It's just me, my mom, and Adi. I should, help Mama, make her life a little bit easier. That's a thought process that genuinely did go through my head when I was 6. But on the flip side of that was also, well, why do I have to? Yes, I want to help mama and I feel bad, so I'm gonna do it because she's my mom. But like, why do I have to? Like, why isn't that a home? Why do I have to do all this stuff? Like, why can't I just play with my Barbie dolls and they figure it out themselves? Like, why do I need to do any of that? And again, at the age of 6, unfortunately, I knew how to understand how to feel for other people and have that empathy for other people. I just didn't know how to conceptualize, or not conceptualize, but like contextualize like my feeling of why and like genuinely just asking that to you.
I guess that is where things started to get little like that friction, or not even friction, the gap started building, because as I said, that's where the generation part kicks in, because I'm coming from a generation where we used to live in smaller homes. We never had our own bedrooms. I mean, it was a two-bedroom apartment, and there were so many people living in that house. So it was normal for us to do many things in the house, give up many things that we wanted because we have to share with so many other people. So for us, it was natural to do that. Growing, raising you here, you having your own space and you having your own little thought process, your own little life, you having that communication channel with me, that you feel that you have like your own little, like a little identity of yourself, right? Growing up, we never had that space, and we were okay because it was just natural. So when that point came, when Dada is not home, that's a very husband wife kind of a dynamics that we decided, okay, what's best for the family. He was growing in his career, so I said, okay, fine, why don't you grow and I will take care of the children. So I will be at this front and you take care of the outer front. That was an understanding. But you are too little for me to explain you why Dada is not here. It was more like, okay, Dada is at work. It's as simple as that. There is nothing more I could explain you, that why husband and wife have decided what they have decided. So I didn't feel the need that I have to go in details about it. At the same time, I assumed and expected for you to feel it's normal and natural to be the older sister or the older sibling in the house. And if I'm asking you to do and help me with certain things, it's normal, it's okay. Because for me, growing up, it was okay. I'm also the older sibling in the house. Right. So many things I was asked to do out, and I would do it out of my own thing. That's just how families are. You just do it. So I guess that's where the generation part comes in, that the generation that I'm coming from and I've raised is very different than what we are raising here.
Mhm.
And I feel that I never understood.
I I do wanna not correct or anything. I think the way you raised me to understand, like, we're family, we help each other out. That's something that did definitely cross over to our generation as well. And it's like it makes sense. That's something I agree with, like family, help out. I just thought the whole situation was unfair. Like, why is it that like me, why do I have to experience not living with the father, having to help my mom with the younger brother, feeling like almost a second parent to him when nobody else in my life had to experience that? And that was just a feeling that I never really got an answer to when I was younger. Um, and that is what really started to I think that was like the first like little chip in the or chink in the armor between the me and between me and you, where it's like that's when things finally, or after that it was a downhill slope in my teenage years.
I know. I know better than anybody else, but I do agree that again, um, the fact that you're too little for me to even sit down and explain those dynamics,
Yeah.
and I guess me not being able to understand this why me, um, we in the generation that we were growing, there was nothing called as why me,
Mm.
because everybody was pretty much doing those things,
Yeah, I think
everybody's
that's the gap.
So for me, it was not like why me, because there was no why me. My cousins were also going through the similar experiences that I was going through, maybe a little bit here and there different, but they were also, their parents were expecting the similar things from them that my parents were expecting from me. So it was never this why me. Like I never felt like a victim, the why me. But this is something that I do feel. I don't know where it stems from. Maybe while talking to you on this podcast, I'll have a more deeper insight in it. But this is something I see the children hear more, saying this or feeling this, that why me? Like, I don't know if it is because of us being such nuclear families here. We're just very small knit family. In India, you still have your cousins, and it's still a very extended family. You're not even though you are nuclear in the sense that I lived in Bombay, my cousins lived in a different city, but in a year we would meet more often,
Yeah.
and then we would see the similar patterns, with all family households. So then it was normal, even if there was a little bit of feeling that it would have come like, okay, I have to do this, but then I saw all my cousins are going through the similar experience. Oh, okay, fine, it's normal for everyone. But maybe in US we are so um nuclear, we are so separated, and it is just the three four people of the household. Everybody gets that. um, I don't know how to put it in the right words, but everybody feels that seclusion, that why is it happening to me, because they're not seeing it happening to other people.
Yeah, I would honestly agree with that because you're not always going to go to your friends to talk about every single issue that you're having with your family, right? Certain things you want to keep within the family. It's very hard to go to another friend about it. And because of that, you genuinely feel like nobody else is experiencing the same thing as you. You think you're the only one going through it. So I do understand that sentiment. I know, and like honestly, growing up, the only person I could have gone to in that moment, just like why me, like why is this happening to me, would be someone else who's also experiencing it, which would be Adi. But Adi's like a baby at this point, so who am I gonna talk to about any of this? It was definitely a very, because the one person I was supposed to be able to talk to, you, we're not really on the same page anymore. Dada, me and him, we talk, yes, but we growing up, like we didn't talk as much as both of us should have made the effort to. So there's none of that. Adi can barely form sentences. So it went was genuinely a very lonely feeling because none of my friends, what am I supposed to do? Like go and ask them like, hey, like how do you deal with the fact that your dad's not home all the time? Well, their dad is home all the time. So it was very lonely in the beginning. And I think all of that just started to weigh me down. And that's like, it started to weigh me down in all aspects of my life. And I think that's why I started pulling back and like secluding myself because I'm like, no one understands me. No one's gonna get me. Like, yada, yada, yada. I'd rather just keep all of this to myself. And that's why I started secluding myself going into my teenage years.
And because you started secluding yourself, again, this nature of yours, this change in you, made the insecure parent in me even more insecure, that oh my god, like where is my daughter, the little nice happy person, where is she, suddenly disappeared. And now I have this daughter who's constantly unhappy with me, no matter, even if I open my mouth to say something, and you would be like just
Get out of my
don't talk
face.
about it. Like it was literally like I should not even open my mouth in front of you because you just don't want to even hear what I have to say.
Yeah.
And so, from being this lovey dovey, beautiful relation between you and me, now suddenly it is so estranged. It is so different. I wasn't prepared for that. And I got even more insecure and fearful that what's happening to you? Why are you behaving like this? What has happened? Like everything is going so well. You have a beautiful home. You have all the whatever you want is there at your disposal. You want to eat food, I'm giving you all that. So now I'm thinking that I'm being the best parent, I'm providing you with everything that I can provide you with, and yet you are being this person that I don't understand anymore. And on the other hand, you are telling me that you don't understand. And I'm like, what is there to understand? You are perfectly fine. So this gap just kept growing and growing. And I think maybe we should take this up in our next episode because this is more deep, and this is something in which we should really dwell, because I feel that a lot of parents, I don't know about others, but the parents that I've spoken are mostly immigrant parents like me who are raising their first generation children here, like, born here. And I feel that they all go through this phase where the children and their relationship starts to deteriorate as the children start coming to their teenage years. And parents don't know how to communicate, to even understand what's really going in their head, because they have lost that communication connection with the child, and the child has lost the trust in the parent. It's like that, the child has lost the trust in the parents, so the child doesn't even want to speak the truth because somewhere the child is convinced that they
You don't
just cannot.
understand.
You don't understand, exactly. No matter whatever I say, you don't understand. And I think that is something we must talk a little more in detail in our next episode, and at least be honest about our relationship and the turbulences, the differences that we've been through. I'm sure a lot of parents and daughters or children are having these same issues. And if we can be open and genuine about it, and if they can pick up something from us, and if they can resonate with it, that, oh, yeah, so your generation kids can think that, okay, it's not just why me, it happens with pretty much everyone. It is just that they never saw someone who's going through the same experiences as you, right? It helps, as I said, that my cousins were going through similar experiences. So for me, it was normal. I never questioned that why me.
Hmm.
But in this country, I see that children often feel that they are very secluded and they are victims. They feel that victimhood feeling, that nobody understands, they are alone in this world. The only people they could trust was their parents, but they don't understand anymore. So, as you rightly said, that you just felt alone and lonely.
Yeah. Definitely it is uh a major shift and very integral to our story. And, it's gonna take its own episode, probably two. But we are excited to get into it. We're excited to share our story. We're excited to really talk about, how we disconnected, but how we got back together again. So that's enough for this episode, where we hope to see y'all next week. Definitely
Uh,
subscribe to our channel. And yeah, like our video.
and today is Holi.
Yes. So
So,
happy Holi to everybody.
I mean, not today. We will be putting this episode tomorrow, but we're recording it today because I'm in London and you are in Houston.
I'm in Dallas, actually.
Yeah, you're in Dallas. So you moved up to Dallas, but I moved up to London. So
Yes.
yeah, so but yeah, when this episode is out, it will be Holi. So wishing everyone a happy Holi, and may this festival bring lot of color and lot of blessings to all of you. So wish you all a very happy Holi. And yes, do subscribe to our channel, do like and share with all of your friends and families. It might reach someone who might be looking for something like this, and it might help them. That's the intention behind this discussion, so, and the podcast, of course.
Thank you so much for watching, everyone.